Just perfect. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is a delight to be with you all as we step into 2023. And, how better to greet the new year than with a Karen Drucker thank you song as we really look at the gifts that we have and open up to those gifts. And so today I'm talking about faith. As you've heard, I'm going to share my screen now. The letters of the word faith stand for feel as if the thing happened. Feel as if the thing happened is my talk title. Interestingly, I have recently been re-inspired with looking at the 12 powers. And, I've taught them for 30 years or more and always have seen their value. But boy, recently I have been sort of reintroduced to their power. And that's through the work of Reverend Phil Pearson. Reverend Phil Pearson with his book, The 12 Freedoms. And I've rediscovered the depth of their power as well as their potential ability to transform our lives and our world. So really seeing the value of them. And in this book, he explores how their power increases when they're used in conjunction with one another. And of course, you can use all 12 in whatever combination you want. And there are many different ways of grouping them. But his method is centered around where they're found in the body. So we know Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, identified where in the body those energy centers were, where we could access those 12 powers or those inner resources that we all have. And Phil Pearson decided to group them in pairs according to their proximity to each other in the body. And so, for instance, we find faith is centered in the brain, and imagination is behind the third eye. And so he put them together in partnership or in a dyad, as he calls it. And he calls that dyad the manifesting dyad of faith and imagination. And I'm not going to say a whole lot about imagination today because, you'll look at that more in depth when you get to that month. I understand you're doing a year on the 12 powers. But suffice it to say, for our purposes this morning, imagination is seeing the vision that you want to see come forth. And faith is feeling it. So we're seeing it, we're feeling it. And this, another way of looking at this comes from a wonderful saying that I discovered years and years ago that says, imagination is hearing the melody of the future. Faith dancing to that melody. So we hear it, but then we interact with it. We have to embody it. We're being the change that we're seeking. This is how this brings it about. And so, when it comes to transforming our lives, it's the emotion behind the thought that packs the punch. In the manifestation process, it's one of the most vital steps to feel how you're going to feel when whatever it is you want comes to pass, but to do it first, to do it prior to actually seeing it manifest. See, it's not the end result of our successful transformation. It's the prerequisite. So feeling as if the thing happened is the power that gets it going. Charles Fillmore. So we're talking here about embodying transformation, embodying the transformation. And that's when we actually can see these differences and changes in our lives, when we start to be the change. Charles Fillmore defines faith as the perceiving power of the mind linked with the ability to shape substance. When I was in ministerial school, one of my committees during my oral exams asked me for that definition, and I couldn't remember it because it's a whole lot of words, isn't it? And so you better believe I learned I memorized it. I learned how to say it back, and they never asked me again. I kept waiting for them, but anyway, it helped me to start to like live it. And it means that we have the power to see what we want. It's a perceiving power. And then by sustaining a feeling of how we're going to feel when it comes to pass, it shapes the substance. It brings into manifestation that which we are believing, that which we are seeing. Now, lest we think this is all woo-woo stuff, I recently read something by a doctor, a medical doctor who specializes in severe nervous disorders with people. She works with that. And she wrote that we can trick ourselves into having a nervous illness. And here's why. She says, when we sustain a fearful, stressed out internal state, that will eventually lead to a chronic pattern of adrenaline producing disturbing sensations in the body. It just becomes the way we are. And then that leads to a fearing the state itself. It feels like we can't do anything about it. And that will trigger more of a cascade of stress hormones surging through the body. And it will create a baseline of panic attacks, anxiety, those kind of things within us. We have now created a reality we don't want through an anxiety-fueled state that self-perpetuates. We felt as if the thing happened so much that it came to pass in a physical way. And now we think we're helpless to stop it, all from sustaining a state of fear in the body. The author of the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, he tells us this: fear is faith in reverse gear. Fear is actually faith in a negative or a frightening outcome. So the good news is we can turn it around. We can get it back in gear moving forward. It works just as well the other way, but we have to be just as committed to feeling faith as we have been feeling fear. See, it has to be the same level. You know, I don't know about you, but I find it easy to feel the way I'm going to feel if something that I don't want is that I'm afraid it's coming, right? I can get myself in a totally stressed out state, just worrying about what is before it ever shows up. I do that all the time. So we have to put as much oomph into sustaining the feeling of what we do want to see the results we're looking for. So with faith, we celebrate the seed, you see. We don't have to wait till it's manifested as the fruit to see the beauty of the seed. The perceiving power of faith allows us to celebrate its manifestation before we see it, and by drawing out its underlying potentiality, right? And so we see it before it's visible. As Brian Tracy tells us, only those who can see the invisible can do the impossible. I love that. That's what faith can do. But we need to let go of constant questioning of how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. You ever done that? Because every time we do that, it's like digging up the seed to see, is it started yet? Is it working yet? Right? And when we do that, we actually separate ourselves from the good that we're looking for by doing that. And so we have to let go of how it's going to look. Just concentrate on feeling as if the thing happened and continue to do so before until it appears in the manifest realm. Why does this work? Well, because in the book of Matthew, chapter 9, verse 29, words attributed to Jesus, according to your faith, it will be done unto you. Really sink into those words. That means that whatever we're believing is manifesting in some way. And we can sort of see that in our lives. And it may be subconscious beliefs. You know, it may not even be conscious beliefs that we have. But if we have subconscious beliefs that are undermining what we want to see happen, it's going to determine what our experience is. So if you have a desire for your life to be different than it is, but the same patterns keep on happening over and over, that's a clue that you may be affirming one thing, but believing another. And then self-sabotaging behavior, it'll run the show. It just will, every time. And so asking for one thing, believing another, the belief's going to win hands down. So we need to have our faith and our beliefs in alignment with one another. Very important. William Warch in the book, How to Use Your 12 Gifts from God, says faith without belief, it's like having a fortune and forgetting where you put it. You know, like, where did I put that treasure? Can't remember. And so we all have this ability to draw forth our good, but until we get belief happening behind it, we can't activate that ability. So we need to believe it with such conviction that we keep the vision in sight and commit to taking the steps necessary to see it manifest in reality, even when we're not seeing it yet, even when it's still in the invisible. Having that kind of faith is necessary. So what are you believing? What are you believing about your life? How strong is your conviction? See, feeling as if the thing happened and sustaining that feeling brings it into life. It brings a different vibration into our body, see? And that begins the process of manifestation. So let's talk a little bit about belief. I read a story about the great Zambruti. The great Zambruti. Now, the great Zambruti was a man who used to walk across a tightrope across Niagara Falls, right? Do you remember this guy? And one time he walked with a wheelbarrow from one side to the other. And when he reached the other side, a young man rushed up to him and he said, "Oh, you are the great Zambruti. You're so great. You could get right back up there and you could walk it back again. You could do the whole thing all over again. I have such faith in you," he said. And so Zambruti said, "Yes, I could, but I'm not going to." But the young man was so persistent. He wouldn't let him move away. He just said, "Yes, but you're so great. And I have such faith in you. I know you could just climb right back up there. You could walk that whole thing again with your wheelbarrow. I know you, if you wanted to, you could do it. You could do it one more time." And he kept on insisting and insisting and insisting. And finally, the great Zambruti looked at the man, held up the wheelbarrow, and said, "Get in." Now, do you think anything bumped up against that young man's subconscious beliefs at that moment? You know, how eager might he be to get into that wheelbarrow? How much faith did he really have? And how willing are we to trust in this greater power that we have and hop in the wheelbarrow ourselves, right? William Drummond asked the question, what is the use of having faith? And he answers it, it's to connect the soul with God. That's his answer, to connect the soul with God. It links us with the living presence, a power that is omnipresent, that is omniscient, that is omnipotent, right? A power that is everywhere present. And that means it's here now, within us, without us. Just really let that sink in. It's all knowing. It's the greater mind. It's infinity. Everything is within us. And it's all powerful. It's unstoppable. See, the Almighty. And if we're going to have faith in anything, well, it just makes sense, doesn't it, to choose the one presence, one power that is everywhere present, all knowing and all powerful. Wouldn't you agree with that? The Course in Miracles says, if you knew who walks beside you on the way you've chosen, fear would be impossible. And I would add to that, within you. See, I would say not only beside you, but within you. If you knew the power you have within you, fear would be impossible. And what if we really lived that truth? What if we really moved through our lives knowing without a doubt that everything we're worried about today would be just fine, would work out just fine? What if we knew for certain that our future was assured, that the universe always has our back through every moment of our lives? Can you imagine that? Might we have faith then? Emerson said, all I have seen teaches me to believe, to trust the Creator for all I have not. Everything I see just points me back to the power within. So we can trust this power that creates and sustains all beings. It's life itself, life with a capital L, to take care of the details of our day-to-day existence. Robert Anthony says it pretty plainly. You can have anything you want if you give up the belief you can't. Pretty good. Very simple. Simple, not easy. necessarily. So what are you believing that's getting in the way of your transformation? What's stopping you from hopping into the wheelbarrow? See, it's a great question to ask ourselves, especially at the beginning of a new year. You know, we might be setting goals and doing all the rest. How many of you have participated in a burning bowl service in the past, right? Made a list of things you're ready to let go of and then burned it as a symbol of release. I don't know about you, but I found myself continuing to burn the same list. It may be a different outer experience, but it was the same belief showing up in some way over and over, sometimes for decades. And if that is true for you, if you are finding you keep having, patterns of behavior and issues in your life that are limiting you, things you want to change, it's a sure sign that not only is there still an unconscious belief getting in your way, but here's the thing, you're probably resisting whatever that belief is. And in so doing, inadvertently stabilizing what looks and feels against you. See, in my martial arts training, we learn that resistance actually stabilizes the attacker, whereas allowing their own energy to move, well, it has a much different result. We used to do these throws around, and it was true. If you tried to pull that person down, it wouldn't work. But if you use their own energy, they just flew through the air. So if I'm using my imagination to see transformation, I want, and I, at the same time, I'm feeling as if the thing happened, I'm sustaining that feeling, and I still continue to experience what it is I don't want. Now I have a golden opportunity to take a much closer look at what the possible belief may be that's in the way. And then after identifying it, seeing if I might be resisting that belief. So let me give an example. Say I want to be more prosperous in life, right? I'm looking for some prosperity, greater prosperity in my life. So what do? Well, I make a vision board, right? I get it. I create it so that I have images that I see of prosperity, whatever that looks like in my life. And I look at my vision board every day. I get excited about it. I affirm, I feel it and feel it. I feel prosperity coming. I feel more prosperous. Continue to affirm it, sustaining that prosperous feeling. I even start to act as if, I live as if I'm flourishing and have abundance. But, oops, I keep tripping over sabotaging behavior that is demonstrating lack. Can anybody relate to this? I sure can. So what's in the way may be an unconscious belief of some kind, a limiting belief. And when I say unconscious, we're not even aware of it sometimes. But here's some examples of what they may be. I always fail. Maybe that's it. I'm not good enough. I don't measure up to other people. I'm lacking in some way. And, we make these decisions at a very young age, even pre-verbal sometimes. We just kind of accept this is how it is for me. So whatever it is, you see, if I'm resisting that belief, keeping it at arm's length, I don't want to be conscious that I have a belief I'm a failure in life or very disempowering beliefs. I don't want to feel how bad that feels to believe I'm not good enough. We do this. We keep it away. We exile it. It's outside of our awareness. And guess what? It's going to stick to me like glue. I'll be trying to get rid of it, but it's going to stay firmly rooted in my psyche. And then no matter what I do, it will keep on being my experience. I don't measure up. Here's another example of it. I'm lacking again. Not enough. We're talking here about shadow material that we may have been carrying around for decades and decades and completely unaware of the fact that we're doing so. But the good news is, whenever I get triggered in some way by someone's judgment or by something that happens to me and I find myself reacting, there's the golden moment when I can see the belief, where I can actually identify it and do something about it. See, not try to get rid of it, not try to transcend it, right? Not use spiritual bypass to not see it anymore, not try to send it out of my psyche or squash it or suppress it or, exile it or ohm it away. I mean, those are all the things I've tried to do in the past. They don't work. No, guess what? It's all about self-compassion. It's all about embracing what I'm believing with self-compassion, especially if I've been resisting it, to actually welcome it. And this takes some work because our first reaction is to push it away. Nobody wants to see that. But when I can bring it in with kindness towards myself, with loving kindness, with compassion and empathy, when I can do that, now I'm allowing divine love, the universal creative intelligence, the infinite spirit, whatever we want to call it, to do the embracing. It's like we prime the pump and now spirit does the work, right? And rather than trying to force change, we allow life to bring forth what wants to be created. It's a whole different world when we start to do that. This is the work we do, my husband and I, Gary, in the quantum living process, where we have moments where you're getting triggered and we go through a process to identify what's the belief and do the loving healing work in order to be free of it. And it takes faith to do that work. But what's the alternative? Guess what? If we don't change anything, we're just going to keep on getting what we got already, just more of the same. So how many signs in our lives have we missed because we couldn't see them for what they were? Those triggering moments, usually we're pushing them away instead of seeing, here's something for me to look at. But we can view things differently and notice the hidden gold. We can start looking at the hidden gold within every obstacle, within every triggering moment. Then we say, here's where I put the treasure. Now I remember. It's hidden in the stuff that, annoys me. Interesting. So how many opportunities for joy, fulfillment are awaiting us? As we really believe in that one presence, one power, feel as if the thing happened, as we embrace with self-compassion any beliefs that are getting in the way. Just imagine what can be created. So what do you want to bring forth in your life? What's ready to emerge? What's needing you to midwife it into existence by not only hearing the melody, but joining the dance, jumping into the wheelbarrow? Are you being led into, a new situation of some kind? We can really trust our inner guidance when we're totally supported by it. We're shown the right path. We're never steered wrong. We can trust the divine direction we're given. Yogi Berra said, when you reach a fork in the road, take it. We'll always be shown the way. And when we reach that level of trust in life itself, it becomes a conviction where all self-doubt and all fear just melts away. Melts away. We don't have to try and push it away. We don't have to overcome it even. But it's like fear knocked, faith answered, no one was home. I love that. Anybody ever play knick-knock as a kid? It's like that. But the fear is now eclipsed as we continue to feel as if the thing happened before we see it, with conviction, with gratitude, with excitement. So what do you desire to bring into your life? Begin at the end and stay there. I just read that recently. What do you want? Begin at the end and stay there. Make embodying the goal the starting point, not the end. And then rest in solidarity with it, knowing and believing it's yours, even when it's invisible. Just keep on keeping on. Trust in the power of spirit within you to bring it forth. Live your beliefs and we can turn the world around, says Henry David Thoreau. Look at the beliefs you're having. If we're wanting to lovingly inspire transformation, do our beliefs, are they in alignment with our ability to do that? And let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. So do you believe you can become what you seek? This is where you can nod your head. The correct response is yes. Well, believe it. I mean, how would you feel if you had a prosperous, joy-filled life? How would that feel to you? What is the bodily feeling of success for you? Is it optimism? Is it hope? Believe in it so strongly that you can feel it now. And when you do, you no longer will need to strive for it. You'll replace wanting for being. Be the change now. So if a desired financial state will bring you serenity and freedom, feel serene right now. Feel free right now. How would you feel if you were in perfect health, strong, grateful? If you were in the perfect career, how would you feel? Confident, joyful? If a change of job will bring forth a greater sense of purpose in your life and contentment, feel content right now. Feel purposeful right now. Because according to your faith, it will be done. All right, let's take a breath, everyone. And I'm going to just stop sharing and take a moment to move into a meditative space where we really connect with the deep, rich faith within us. So I invite everyone to just settle into your seat, however you're sitting, and really sink your awareness deep, deep within your body. If your feet are on the floor, feel them planted on the floor. Just move your attention to the soles of your feet. Now move your awareness upward through your body. Just noticing the sensations, the feelings, the emotions. And as you move your attention through the trunk of your body, allow your heart to open as you bring into your awareness someone or something that gives you a feeling of gratitude. Could be someone you just love and adore. Could be a cherished pet. Could be a beautiful memory that you have. Whatever it is, choose someone or something that activates a feeling of gratitude. You want to feel it, not just think about it. Now let that feeling grow and expand, spilling over from your heart and moving throughout your body, moving upward through the shoulders, the arms and the hands, through the neck to the face. And just notice how it feels to have your body filled with this healing vibration of gratitude. Imagine every cell being bathed in its light. And so we open ourselves to that deeper dimension where we know without a doubt the power that is within us is the one presence, the one power. It is life itself blessing us, ready to be expressed. Whatever it is we want to bring forth in our life, the universe has our back. So we create this energetic field of harmony and peace as we enter the silence together. God is our source. There is no separation. We are the expression of the one presence, one power, here to be the one to make a difference in our world, to lovingly inspire, to bring transformation. to share the love that we are. And through this, to make the world a better place. And for this opportunity to be the expression of the one, we are grateful. And so it is. Amen.